Hey there, kiddos. Welcome to Sandy's Odds and Bobs, and today we're going to do problem solving. I don't know if you've ever had the experience, but as artists, every once in a while when we're busy creating, making some art, doing something really cool, sometimes it just doesn't work. And that's what came out with this today, because I was busy in my journal making some pages, and no, they didn't work. Well, what had happened is that I like to watch crafty videos, and that's how this all got started. And I was watching a lady that was using stickers, old leftover stickers that she had, and she was gluing them down onto a page, and she was making this beautiful journal page out of it. I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I could do that. So I get out my journal and I find some old stickers. You know how you buy these panels of stickers and you use 3 or 4 of them, and then you got all this other stuff left, and you just stick it off in the drawer and forget about it until you have to clean out that drawer. So I was sticking stickers all over the place, and I didn't have any alarms go off, no bells went off, but by the time I got over my jump for enthusiasm for doing the stickers, I looked at it and I thought, well, let me just show you what I mean. Okay, so now you may have to avert your eyes. Be prepared, because you're getting ready to see a whole lot of ugly. So here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Ta-da! Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah. Okay, so I didn't stop at one page. I continued. I made lots of sticker page. And it's like, oh, no. So I finally came to the conclusion that, yeah, this isn't working. I got to do something about that. So I thought, well, I'm going to close my book. And I left it alone for an hour or so. I thought, well, I'll just come back with fresh eyes. An hour or so later, I come back and I open up the book and look at it, and no, it did not improve. It did not improve. There's no pretty in there anywhere. Can't find pretty. Pretty is gone. Left on the bus. Okay, so I thought, well, I haven't got any ideas. I can't figure anything out yet, so I'm just going to let it sit for a while and percolate. Sometimes you have to do that when you're creating art. You just gotta sometimes get to a point where you just gotta let it sit and percolate. And so what happened was, a couple of days ago, I was out and about with my grandson, and we were stopping by this local sandwich shop called Culver's. And Culver's, by the way, I don't know if y'all have one in your town, but it makes some really good stuff. Really good. They have the most delicious milkshakes. And their spicy, crispy chicken sandwich is yum yum. So, at any rate, we were at Culver's, at the drive-thru, ordering up food. The girl comes out with a bag, and she hands it to me through the window, and I'm looking in the bag, and all I'm seeing is this big bunch of paper napkins. And I'm thinking, wow, do I look like I'm that sloppy of an eater? Wow, she must think I am really bad. So I'm digging through all the bag, and I'm looking and just, yeah, we got all our sandwiches, we're all okay, so we leave. So I get the bag home, and I'm pulling out this big, like, I have one mouth, okay, people? One mouth, but apparently they think I need a lot of cleaning up. So I'm pulling out this big bunch of napkins. I'm setting it to the side, and I happened to set it on some newspaper. I thought, oh, okay. Well, meanwhile, ate my lunch, went to go clean up, and I'm looking at these napkins. I thought, well, what am I going to do with all these napkins? And I started looking at them real close, and I noticed that, hey, they got some really nice texture there. So I opened them up. I thought, ooh, there's no imprinting in it. There's no embossing in it. Yeah, this looks pretty good. I wonder, what if, just like a Disney series, what if we laid it on some newsprint? Newspaper text comes through, you can see it, but you can't really read it. I thought, I like that. That looks good. I could do something with that. I could make some tags, I could make some journal cards. Thought, oh, okay, that would work. Okay, so then the thought came to me that, well, if it covers that up and makes that look nice, I wonder what it would do with the ugly sticker page. So, came back to my book. Bless it, poor soul. And I thought, okay, how are we going to make you pretty? Gotta pretty you up, girl. So first of all, because the stickers were very glossy, I says, well, we're going to give you some teeth. Going to give you some teeth so you hook up to stuff. So what I did is I recycle everything. This is an old emery board, as you can tell. It's well used. But I still got a little good stuff there. So what I use is I use it like that, and I rubbed it, and cleaned as much of it as I could to get the glossy off. Didn't get it all off, but hey, it's working. So, hey, if you're ever going to be throwing these little guys out, think twice about it, because that's a handy little sandpaper bit. You can use that for a lot of things. So I sanded down the page. Then I said, well, what kind of glue should I use? I could use fabric tack. Yeah, I could use that. But fabric tack and napkins do not mix. Not a good idea. So same thing goes with tacky glue. Love tacky glue, but it's a wet glue, just like fabric tack. And if you're using wet glue with napkin, it's going to soak through and it is not going to look pretty. So that leaves us with, ta-da, my favorite kind of glue stick. This is called the Avery's glue stick. Okay. And it comes in little packages like that. I get mine from Amazon. You can get yours from Amazon, or wherever you can find Avery glue sticks. Now, the reason why I am such a fan of this particular kind of glue is because it is permanent. Now, if you look on the container, you're not going to see the word permanent anywhere. You look on the packaging, you're not going to see the word permanent anywhere. So how do I know it's permanent? Well, you look it up on Amazon and you read the description of the product, and in the product it says permanent glue. Now, I'm not saying this is the only permanent glue, because I'm sure there's other permanent glues, but what I need you to make sure is that when you're picking out your glue stick, make sure it says permanent. And if you have to do your homework by looking it up on Amazon or Google or wherever you got to go, make sure it is permanent. Because the last thing you want to do is to go through all this trouble and fun of gluing in stuff in your journal, and 2 weeks later you go to open your journal and poof, stuff starts falling out. So you don't want that happening. So, glue stick. Now what you want to do is, we're going to put a protection sheet down here, just so we don't get everything else all gluey. And we're going to go to town. Now, with your glue stick, you don't want to get real big up like that, because it'll just squish out. You just barely above the edge, so that you'll have some surface to rub onto your page. And you're going to glue it all around. You're going to make sure that you get all the way to the edges. That's why we got this here. Make sure the edges don't get overwhelmed with the glue and end up gluing other pages to it. Now, you may end up going through a bit of this glue stick, as I am. As you see, I'm having to constantly scooch it up, because you want a nice thick layer. And sort of lean your head to the side, make sure that you are getting all the dry spots wet with the glue. Okay, I'm going to make sure you don't have any dull areas, because if you lean your head to the side, you can see that there might be a dull spot from here or there, like right through there. And you want all that to be filled in. Yeah, there we go. Looking pretty good in the neighborhood. Okay, yeah. Oh, found a spot. Let me make sure that's a good one. There we go. Okay, so we glued it all up. Oh, man, got messy. That's okay. It's just glue. So now we are ready to attach our napkin. So what I did is I looked at the napkin and I noticed that one side is kind of smooth, the other side has a little bit of a texture to it. So I'm checking it out, and I'm going to very carefully start with the edge, kind of keep it up so it doesn't stick all of a sudden. And you're going to start laying it as close to your inside edge as possible. Rub that with your finger, keep this other side up, and then you're going to take a handy dandy scraper and you're going to rub down the middle, and you're going to rub it out to the corners and to the sides, to the corners and to the sides. Now you may notice that my handy dandy scraper is actually Beltone gift card. There's a whole story about this too, I tell you. Okay, well, what happened is that my kids kept nagging me about getting my hearing tested, because every time they'd say something to me, I'd say, "What? What was that? What'd you say?" Or if I repeated it, I always repeated it incorrectly. You know, it's like if they said, "Mom, why don't you have a seat?" And then in my ears I would hear, "Hey, did you hear that beat?" It's like, okay, that's not right. That's what would happen. But so I went to get my hearing tested after a few weeks of hearing that, and I go into the guy, and the young man comes out and he says, "Well, come with me." And so he's consulting me, and he spent the first 20 minutes telling me about all the wonderful hearing aids they have and how expensive they are and how they can fit into my budget and how wonderful my family's going to feel once I can hear them clearly, and on and on and on for 20 minutes. I was trying to be patient because I was thinking in my head, it's like, when are we going to get to the real thing? So he's giving me all the sales spiel. Finally gets done with that, and he says, "Well, let's go over here and we're going to use this machine to test your hearing." I says, "Finally, okay." So I go in this room, this tiny little closet of a room, and he doesn't come in, but he closes the door behind me. Now I'm looking up at the window that he's standing in front of. I can see him, and I'm in this dark, dark room with this machine and headphones. I'm looking around the walls, and all I see is this soundproofing panels all over. And I'm starting to get a little nervous. I'm thinking, if I screamed really loud, nobody's going to hear me. I thought, okay, so this is what a hearing test is. So he says, motions, pick up your headphones, put on your headphones. And I said, okay, fine, I did that. And he starts talking to me, and we go through the hearing test, and it took like maybe 10 minutes. I mean, his sales pitch was longer than that. So afterwards, he opens up the door, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm ready to get out of this room. Thank you very much. It's not that I'm claustrophobic or anything, but that was a little weird. So he sits down with the consultation, and he brings these papers over to the desk, and he says, "Well, ma'am, turns out that you really don't have a hearing problem." And I said, "Oh yeah, I could have told you that." And in fact, I did tell him that. And he says, "But nevertheless, you fit perfectly within the hearing range of your age. I says, okay, great, another health issue due to my age. Okay, fine. And he says, but you will need to make sure that you get your hearing tested annually. So you'll want to go make an appointment to be able to come back in a year and have your hearing tested again. I says, oh, okay. So get up and we go to the front desk, and I'm looking at the girl and saying, is there anything I need to sign? Is there any paperwork I need to do? Am I ready to go? And she's like getting ready to nod yes, and the guy comes out around the corner and he says, and don't forget to make an appointment for your annual hearing test. So I've already gone to the door. I got my hand on the knob, and I turn around. I said, oh yeah, and I'm out the door. So hey, I went back to the kid's house, and I told him, says, hey, I just had my hearing tested. The guy says I'm okay. Says, considering my age, that my hearing is fine. And I tried to tell him that. I don't think they really believed me, but hey, nothing wrong with my hearing. But the way it comes back is that Beltone apparently has my information now. Now, there was nothing in that office that said Beltone anywhere. I didn't see Beltone anywhere. But now Beltone thinks I need hearing aids. So they sent me this handy dandy card. And I'm thinking, well, you know, another piece of junk mail. Great. So what am I going to use it for? Scraping napkins. That's what I'm going to use it for. And that's what I use them for. So anytime you get these silly junk mail pieces in the mail, before you pitch it, check and see if they got a really nice handy plastic card here you can use for a napkin scraper. And it gets all the air bubbles out nice and smooth. Very nice. All the way down. There you go. So that's the story behind that. Okay, so moving on. Now that our glue has had a chance to adhere well, we want to be able to take off all these extra bits. Whoa! All these extra bits that have been glued here. So what you're going to do is you're going to get your handy dandy water brush. This water brush has stuff in it, but that's okay. So these are really nifty though, because what they are is you can open them up and you can put your water in the tip, and you screw the lid back on, which turns out to have all the bristles in it, and you squeeze it a little bit and water will come out. Now, when you're working with napkins and you want to be able to make sure that you're being very precise rather than trying to tear a napkin. I don't know if you've tried tearing napkins before, but it's very hard. It's jaggedy, raggedy, and all that mess. So what I do is I squeeze out some water in my water paint brush, whatever you want to call it, and very carefully I'll go along the edge with some water. Now you want to make sure that your paper is still back there. And then you're going to pull this away. And look how that just comes out so nice. And you're going to continue on down to the side. And you don't want to get it saturated. It only takes a little dab of water to make it work. If you get it on your page, it's okay. It's all working. And very carefully, it's going to separate. Whew. Look at that. Okay, and we're going to do it at the bottom. Boom, 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 boom. There you go. And we're done with that. I'm going to separate that. Ta-da! Okay, that is looking good. Now, if you want to, you don't have to, you can let that dry, is you can push them up along the edges. And what this does is it creates a really nice deckled edge. Now, a deckled edge is where you just have the paper edges are bunched up against the edge of the main piece of paper. It's not even. You got some back and forth going there, jiggity jaggities, and that just makes a really nice edge to your paper. And you know what? Problem solved. Ta-da! And as my daughter-in-law says, it's better than a poke in the eye, because when you look at it like this, that's a poke in the eye. But there, I can live with that. I can live with that. It's toned down. I can cover it up with more stuff. It's all good. Okay. So, there again, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe, because again, we have lots of information to share. And leave a comment, because I sure would like to know how things go with you. Have you ever had a hearing test? Do you have a Culver's in your neighborhood? Yeah, there's all kinds of fun stuff we can talk about. So there's problem solved. Now we don't have ugly pages anymore. So thank you very much for stopping by. Again, this is Sandy at Sandy's Odds and Bobs, and there's our little odd thing that we had. We had our napkin that, who'd figure, could turn out to solve my problem. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.